Look, I'm excited because we might get that 42nd record high close for the S&P 500. I feel like this is just as an occasion, three of them in a week. It's just for me. That's why.
It's just for you. Absolutely. Having said that, it feels a little bit of a tortured trade today. I mean, we do have most names in the S&P 500 today.
Tortured.
Higher. Well, you know what I mean? Like, it's not really clearly defined. I feel like we're watching the economic news. We got the upbeat Micron news. I don't know. I just don't feel like there's totally a clear way forward in today's trade.
Well, we're all distracted by what's happening in New York. At least those of us who are in New York City.
What's happening in New York?
A certain mayor being indicted.
Oh.
I spent 2 hours on radio doing this. Must we?
Really?
Must we do this again?
I'm sorry.
I'm still traumatized.
Someone's been indicted? Raise your hand if you've been indicted. I don't know. What's happening?
I have not been indicted.
Too soon?
It's just way too soon.
Stop looking at me like that.
Too soon.
But you were talking about what the catalyst is, guys. I really do feel like China's still behind some of this. I was saying this earlier. You look at S&P Materials, and they're leading the way.
It's really like you looked at my gainers. I love you.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. And I mean, I know there's people are going to parse this and say, look, this might not be enough stimulus, but just the general sentiment shift here, I think certainly has a big psychological effect here. You get the clapping and the cheering here in New York with those closing bells here. Another record high for the S&P 500, up about 23 points, right around that 57.45 mark, 0.4% gain on the day. The Dow also higher by more than 200 points, or 0.6%. A similar percentage gain for the NASDAQ Composite. And let's take a look at the Russell 2000, getting in on the action as well, up about 12 points. Or 0.6%.
All right, guys, let's take a look at the S&P 500. As I mentioned, most names in the index higher today, about 331 names gaining ground on this Thursday, 172, Scarlet, to the downside.
Yep, let's take a look at the 11 sectors in the S&P 500. And Alex mentioned those materials companies on the China story, the China stimulus story. Materials up almost 2% as a group. Tech not far behind, gaining 0.9%. And Wells Fargo lifting the financials to a 0.5% gain. On the downside, you have energy stocks losing 2% as oil prices decline. WTI now at below $70 a barrel. REITs also lower by 1%, and utilities losing 0.75%.
All right, so a lot of green on that map. Let's get to some of the individual gainers. The number one gainer in both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 is Micron Technology, finishing the day off its highs, but still almost a 15% gain. It's the largest U.S. maker, as you know, of computer memory chips. It did gain the most in nearly 13 years, gave a strong sales and profit forecast, helped by strong demand for AI gear, artificial intelligence gear. Analysts also coming out very positive about the AI demand and the company's pricing strength. So no doubt about it, a strong performer. Alex mentioned every day it feels like among the most read stories is what's coming out of China and their stimulus moves. So the NASDAQ Golden Dragon China.
There it is. I was wondering if you're going to mention it. You used to mention this all the time. It has its best day in years, and you don't even start with it, Carol.
Well,
I don't know you anymore.
I don't know. Well, I had to go to Micron. But anyway, it is up about almost 11% in today's session. It is a favorite. If you look at the NASDAQ 100, PDD is one of the outperformers in today's session. So again, officials pledging to make real estate market stop declining, their strongest value yet to stabilize, that crucial sector in the Chinese economy that we know has had such a tough time coming out of its malaise. So that is definitely some outperformance today. And then one of the airlines, I wanted to mention Southwest Airlines, guys, up about 5.5%, was up as much as 11% in today's session, authorizing a new $2.5 billion stock buyback program, and also detailed some plans to revamp customer-facing policies. This company and this carrier trying to fend off some activist moves, and so nonetheless, investors liked what it had to say. What?
Did you see some of the moves in the other airlines, though? You had United up 8%, JetBlue up 8%. I mean, was this all just on the sentiment shift or something?
Well, the whole airline index is up over 6%. Best day since October 2022.
I'm not sure why. Do you guys know? Is it just because of
bag fees?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's not.
China?
No.
Southwest Airlines should be lower than.
Hey, Carol, you're from overseas. What's going on?
Yeah. People aren't getting on planes. What was that? Sure, let's go with that. Okay, look, I'm gonna get us back on track. I'm gonna try. We went from Micron higher, Supermicro ditched the N. We've got Supermicro shares slumping after that Wall Street Journal report that the U.S. Justice Department investigating the company. This after a Hindenburg research report last month talking about glaring accounting red flags at the IT firm. Representatives of the company and the Justice Department haven't responded to requests for comment. The shares down 12% at the close. We've got Sonos shares also falling after Morgan Stanley double downgraded the stock from to underweight from overweight. It doesn't sound good. Their note saying that the speaker company's app redesign, which brought huge backlash from customers, if you want to find it on social media, lots of people talking about it, impacting the top and bottom line there as well. Our opinion columnist Dave Lee was writing about this just a couple of days ago on the technical debt that the company is facing, and it's one of those issues that can come up when you're dealing in tech like this. Sonos shares down now about 30% on the year, and I'm indulging myself by talking about chocolate because Hershey's shares are down ever so slightly, so just about counts. Jeffrey's downloading the chocolate maker to underperform from hold. They're turning more cautious because customers apparently are pulling back on spending on chocolate because of the increased prices, which we've been talking about, but switching to other snacks.
Hershey's?
Yeah, cocoa, man. It's like a record high yet again.
It's not even good chocolate, Hershey's.
Oh, how dare you? How dare you? Apologize to America.
But Romaine also hates chocolate. So
No,
I think
we were camping this past weekend and we were making s'mores. So I went through my I don't know, we had like a stack of Hershey bars.
Chocolate.
How much did it cost you?
Well.
Were you making s'mores?
There we go.
Did you say you were making s'mores?
Yes, we're on a campfire. We were camping. I don't know, does that bother you, Carol?
I don't know. I'm just trying to get my head around that picture.
I know.
So-
Romaine at a
I am?
camping site.
Right?
Yeah.
And
No,
next
I
to a
can see
campfire.
it.
Don't worry,
Was it more like
I tossed my
glamping?
tie back over
There was
and,
some
it was all
glamping.
good.
There was still a
so.
bathroom in the cabin. Let's not think
Stop.
we're like.
It was
It's
rustic.
glamping.
It was
It's
rustic.
It was glamping.
No, I mean, it's a middle between regular and glamping. But okay, can I go to yields now? I'm going to yields.
Sure.
Because this is where some of the action was too. You're looking at the front end here. We're up by 5 basis points. The back end, a touch of buying. And guys, this really was about the data that we saw earlier today. Durable goods orders better than expected. And you had that gross domestic income revision over the post-COVID period where you had nearly $800 billion added to between 2022 and 2023. That was something.
Yeah, we're actually getting some earnings out, believe it or not. It never stops. Vail Resorts, ticker MTM, shares down 5%. The company coming out with their fiscal fourth quarter numbers. Skier visits down significantly here, 699,000. The street was looking for 829,000. Now, of course, we are still off season, but that does not necessarily bode well. Revenue, though, came in relatively in line with estimates at around $265 million, but the company's still posting a loss per share of $4.67. That's higher, or deeper loss, I should say, than what the street had priced in.
All right, something we're certainly keeping an eye on. That stock down about 5% in the aftermarket. Hey, the other thing we're keeping an eye on is what's going on at Starbucks. Scaling back on the Italian pastry brand beloved by longtime leader Howard Schultz. Princi?
Princi.
Oh, go ahead.
There you go.
Take it over, Stephen.
Look, I scramble past this because there's one in Soho in London that I visit regularly. It's a very impressive spread, but they're one of those brands that got into Starbucks and were able to use their own brand under the Starbucks roasteries in particular, but they're moving on from them now. So they say they're going to be replacing it with, great products.
Are you upset that they're losing it?
I mean,
Yes.
I can still get it, so I'm okay.
Oh, you're fine.
But
Yes,
I'm worried for
sadness.
other people.
Okay.
They are going to keep this brand, though, in certain of their roasteries, including in Milan and in its stores in Tokyo. And by the way, I was in Italy, and there was a huge long line in front of the Starbucks roastery.
I was like, please don't tell me that you went to Starbucks.
No.
in Italy.
But I was kind of bewildered why there are people waiting in line at Starbucks in Italy.
Stephen's gone there.
They had air conditioning in Milan in the
Where do you go
summer.
to Paris and you see all the hordes lined up outside of
Makes
McDonald's
me
or
very,
Taco Bell?
That really hurts.
Got it.
I'm actually bummed about this because my daughter loves those croissants.
Well, there you go.
All right.
The other thing that I noticed when I was in Milan, because it was Fashion Week, is that there are a lot of people wearing these wide-legged pants, and that's a new thing. These wide-leg jeans, they might not be that much money. It might cost like $100, but the problem is you then have to buy new tops to pair with the wide-legged pants.
This is, okay, all
Because
right.
a crop top
Crop
looks
top.
really
Did
wider
these people
here.
not own tops before?
No,
I'm
no, no.
confused.
Too
Okay,
big and
wait.
big. You just look like you're dressed like a baby.
You got to understand, when skinny jeans were in, you had to have oversized tops. And now that you have wide-legged pants, you need a smaller top on top to kind of balance it out.
I refuse.
Are you wearing wide-legged pants now?
I am.
You
She's
are.
not wearing a crop top. Let's just be clear.
Well, thank you.
Don't wear crop tops.
All right.
No.
There you are.